Greetings, my name is Dennis Wright and I'm part of the historic Sistrunk community. I remember as a small child, I would get up every morning, come to my grandmother's business, Helen's Kindergarten and Nursery, and from there I would walk to Walker Elementary for school every day. And once I was done with school, I would walk back, and if I got a good report that day, my parents would give me 35 cents. And with that 35 cents, I would go right next door to Willie Walker's grocery store, and I would buy a honey bun and a jungle juice. And that was my reward every day for being a good student. And then sometimes I would be sent on errands, which included walking down to the pharmacy down at the corner of Sistrunk and 9th Avenue, or going to the fish market on Sistrunk and picking up dinner for the evening. And I remember just when I would walk up and down Sistrunk, I would see all of these small businesses, and it seemed like everybody had their own business, every family had their own business, and Sistrunk was really thriving, and the community was really vibing, and it was just a great place to be. We would do things like play day over at Sunland Park, and we would walk over there from the nursery and enjoy a day of activities. It was just so much fun in the community, and that's my memory of Sistrunk, and that's what I would like to recapture as part of being a part of the historic Sistrunk community. And then, so as time passed on, I went on to college, and I went off to college at Auburn University, and I came back. But even while I was in college, I never thought about having a life outside of the Fort Lauderdale life that I grew up in, the Sistrunk community life that I grew up in. So once I graduated from college, I immediately came home. My grandmother's kindergarten and nursery was still up and running, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be, hey grandma, I went to college, I want to be a part of the business. I want to be able to see the business continue to grow, and that's what I wanted to do. And as time went on, my grandmother passed away and the business did eventually shut down, but it never shut down for me. It never left my heart. And I just thought about it over the years of having inherited the property and the land. What would I do? And what could I do to be meaningful in the community? Because I felt like my family was meaningful in the community. My father, Johnny Wright, affectionately known as Popsy, in this community. I love the fact that people would refer to me as Little Popsy. When we would go to the Elks, and he would bring my brothers and I, and they go, oh, look at Little Popsy. You felt a sense of pride, a sense of community, a sense of culture, and I never wanted to shy away from that. So if we bring it back now full circle, here I am. I maintained that property. I wouldn't sell it because I felt like I was selling a piece of history. So I wanted to be a part of the history. And I wanted to do something that I felt my family had done for the community, which was provided much needed services in the community in the form of early childhood development. And they also owned property and did rental and provided rental housing units for people in this community. So the thought was, what can I do? How can I leverage the talents that I've learned through college and through my corporate job in corporate America to help my community thrive? And when the whole revitalization efforts started to come about and the programs started to be put in place by the city, I looked for ways to take advantage of those programs. And the thought concept was to be able to provide those same critical services that my grandmother and my father provided when they were living in this community. And I look at that as housing once again, and then services such as legal services, professional services, all of those components that help businesses grow. I wanted to provide that, as well as the IT services that I learned in college and what I do for a living, what I do professionally. So the concept of Simply IT was started, which was my ability then to work with small businesses from an information technology perspective and be able to introduce technology to those businesses in a manner in which they can absorb it, the small businesses in the community, they can absorb it, understand how to use it in order to continue to compete in the business world that was being driven now by technology. And then also with the property that I inherited, I decided to build a building, a multi-use building that will have the residence component of it, like my grandmother and father provided, as well as critical business services and a place for young entrepreneurs to come back and start their business, much like what I saw when I was growing up on Trump. So I started a company, called it Wright Dynasty, and it's really built on the backs of Helen Morris of Helen's Kindergarten and Nursery, and Johnny Wright, affectionately known as Popsy, who also ran Helen's Kindergarten and Nursery. And Wright Dynasty is just that. It's the Wright name, it's the family name, but it's also not, it's taken and is paying tribute to our past. And it's also to be there for the future. And so my brother's kids, my kids, they can still be a part of this historic Trump community. And that's, to me, that's what it's really all about. It's about figuring out ways to get involved, be part of that positive fabric that's happening now in this community as part of this revitalization. Matter of fact, I don't even like calling it a revitalization. I like the word resurgence better, because I see it as this community was surging and was thriving, and unfortunately things happened in this community that slowed that down and all, really brought it to a standstill. But now it's resurging. You see new businesses coming. You see new home opportunities coming. I got involved with the Fort Lauderdale Community Development Corporation, number one, because I knew I wanted to do some type of development in this community, and I knew they were heavily involved in that part of the community when it comes to providing housing and opportunity. So I got involved. I started volunteering my time and services to that organization. And here I am now 4 years into that organization, and I'm the president of the board, and I'm helping to drive that vision of the Fort Lauderdale CDC. And not only with its current members, but outside of its membership, looking to tap into those resources that are being brought back into this community as part of the revitalization, and bringing those resources to the Fort Lauderdale Community Development Corporation as well. So with that, and then also trying to help and figure out a way to get the youth more involved and get the youth have more pride in their community. I've been involved now with the 100 Black Men of Greater Fort Lauderdale for 15 years. And the majority of those 15 years, I served as president. Now I'm president emeritus of that organization. And still, that's really about changing the mindset of young people, especially our young Black males, so they feel empowered, so they feel like they have an opportunity to be successful in this community. And this is not a community that they need to run away from, but they need to embrace, because it has so much history in it. So between the 100 Black Men of Greater Fort Lauderdale and empowering youth, and then the Fort Lauderdale Community Development Corporation, which is looking to provide opportunities for people to come back and live in this community, I really enjoy the best of both worlds, because I'm inspiring on one hand, and I'm innovating and creating different opportunities for people to thrive in this community on the other hand. And I think that is really my passion. My mission in life is to inspire and innovate. And that's what I hope to do with the Wright Dynasty, with the Fort Lauderdale Community Development Corporation, with the 100 Black Men of Greater Fort Lauderdale, my family, all of us utilizing our talent and resources to once again make the historic Trump community a true place where people want to live, work, and play the same way that my family lived, worked, and played in this community for years.